This is an administrative hearing being held on December 8th, 2025 in the Kosciuszko County Courthouse. This hearing is being live streamed. This hearing is being conducted pursuant to the laws of the state of Indiana as found in IC 6-1.1-1-1. The parcel number is 43-1-200-287.000-032. The property address is 1624 Lilac Lane, Warsaw. The property owner is Zachary Otto Bonahum. The assessment year under appeal is 2025. Does everyone present agree the year under appeal is as stated?
Yes.
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 My name is Sarah Schloss, and I represent the assessor, who is the secretary to the Property Tax Board of Appeals. The persons representing the PTABOA are
Brock Ostrom.
Mike Siddles.
Bill Olinger, good morning.
Morning.
the person representing the county is,
Kathy Strange.
the person representing the taxpayer is,
Otto Bonahum.
and are you the current property owner of the property?
Yes.
Will all persons who are or may be witnesses in this hearing please raise your right hand to be sworn? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Okay. If you would like to tell the board about your property and the reason for your appeal.
Okay. Thank you. And thank you for your time this morning. In front of you, I have just a small packet prepared. As was already stated, the subject property is 1624 Lilac Lane. For this tax year, a proposed assessment, 24% increase to $347,000 has been reassessed or proposed. I'm proposing a 12% increase to $312,000. And on the next couple pages, I'll identify the data points of how I got there. The subject property is a 2-bed, 2-bath home built in 1993, just over 1,600 square feet. And the majority of the finishes are from 1993. The only major updates to the home have been a new furnace and some new flooring. It's also on Pike Lake, so it's lakefront property, a somewhat unique type of property, along with a lot of the other lake homes in the area that I'm sure you're all familiar with. Prior assessed values for my property, 2023 and 2024 have seen about a 4% increase year over year. So this year to be hit with 24% increase it seemed a little bit out of nowhere to me, especially since if you'll follow along with me to page 2 and beyond, I'll kind of outline the flat market that Pike Lake is seeing right now. So on page 2, first of all, I structured my valuation that I did consistent with USPAP, the Uniform Standards for Professional Appraisal Practice, which I'm sure you're familiar with. And I used only the 8 homes that were sold on Pike and Little Pike in the last 18 months. To me, that's sufficient number of comps on the actual Pike Lake to justify the sales comp approach. And as you'll see at the bottom of page 2, the assessor explicitly states that our values should be within 10% of what you can buy or sell on the open market for in an arm's length transaction. So the average, before any adjustments, the average sale price of those 8 homes on Pike and Little Pike over the last 18 months was $291,000. So if you add 10% to that, you get $320,000. If you subtract 10%, you get $262,000 as a value. So the proposed assessment at $347 for my house is well above sort of that 10% plus or minus. Again, that's before any adjustments to an appraisal. If you continue on with me to page 3, of those 8 sales over the past 18 months, all 8 of them had a lower sale price than the proposed $347,000 assessment. And then you can see at the bottom of page 3 where the assessor states that they used sales comps from Pike Lake from 2023, which a month from now, those will be 3-year-old sort of stale comps. So I feel like that's a failure to use relevant market data, since there's definitely sufficient comps within the last 12 to 18 months for the sales comparison approach. Even if we ignore the USPAP standards, I can't think of a legitimate reason why comps from 3 years ago would be used or included in a reassessment like this. Especially when there's plenty from the last 12 to 18 months. If you'll continue with me to page 4, the assessor also outlined the trending study that's completed every year. It was described to me, and there's an excerpt at the bottom of page 4, it was described to me as a mass appraisal. If this process were accurately capturing these annual market changes, this large 24% increase should have more realistically occurred during prior years when the market was booming. Whereas now, as you'll see from the comps on subsequent pages, we're more, the evidence points to a flat market. And so to me, this pattern is inconsistent with a properly functioning assessment. And then finally, for the trending study that the assessor relied on, there were 5 different townships used in this study, which is okay, in my opinion, for non-unique or specialty property like lakefront property, but by aggregating sales from 5 different townships, it really ignores the market behavior, the actual market behavior on Pike and Little Pike Lake, as well as the buyer demand and the available stock in sort of just the sub-market of Pike Lake. I think this type of assessment, if relied on regularly, produces overstated values, which I think we're seeing here. So a more credible approach, I believe, would be the sales comp approach, which I've included. If you follow along with me to page 5, at the very top, I outline the adjustments that I made to the 8 comps that I used. A pretty basic standard adjustments, square footage, bedroom bath count. And then I adjusted as well for lake type, regular large Pike versus Little Pike Lake, channel front versus true lakefront. The subject property is true lakefront and has 44 feet of frontage. And so based on using just the sales comps from the last 18 months, these 8 comps, the range after adjustments that I arrived at was between 295 and 315,000. Which again is well below the proposed $347,000 assessed value. My proposal is to meet in the middle at 12%, which lands the property at 312,000 total assessed value. It's still well above the 4% increases that I've been seeing year over year, but I think it's fair because it does allow for some catch up for the years when the market was booming and we only saw a 4% increase. Maybe some of those years where the assessor could have increased it higher and didn't do that. So that's where the 12%, where my proposed 12% increase comes from. It still lands at the higher end of the sales comp range, but also adds some of the catch up that maybe was missed in prior stronger years for the real estate market. So the subsequent pages after page 5 are just my comps and the different exhibits. There's a table of comps. It did print out kind of small, but it's all outlined on the subsequent pages, and you're welcome to review it. If you have questions for the methodologies or anything that I used, or any questions on my proposed 12% versus the 24% that the county has assessed, I'm happy to answer those. And thanks again for your time.
The sales that you used for 24 and 25?
All within the last 18 months. Yeah.
Okay.
I used every sale that occurred in the last 18 months.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have no questions.
I do. I have no questions either.
Brock, have any?
I don't have no question.
County?
I did send him a 134 letting him know that there was no change on the value. And I just want to state that our 2025 assessments are derived from the 2024 sales. January 1st, 2024 to January 1st, 2025. Those are the sales that we were mandated to use for this assessment. So my grid that I have those falling within that 18 months, except for the one. And if I take that one out, it's going to make it go up. So Exhibit A is just the letter informing Mr. Bonahum of the increases in the values. It was due to the land order that was mandated by the state that we do. Again, this is only done once every 4 years, and that's how the state mandates we do it. That increased the land value. The cost to build increased significantly from the state. They were behind by 40%. We also did a trending. The trending is like a mass appraisal. On the mass appraisal, on the trending, we are mandated to use the last, like I said, January 1st, 2024, January to January 1st, 2025 sales. If we do not have enough sales, we are allowed to go back up to 5 years and time adjust those sales. That's mandated. If we don't have enough sales within a neighborhood, we are allowed to go in and look for other comparable markets, comparable areas that are compared to this one, like I will show you here. He stated we used other neighborhoods. Yes, we did, because there wasn't enough sales in his neighborhood. So we had to use comparable sales from other neighborhoods that are comparable to theirs. That's how the trending was done. The Exhibit B is the letter explaining the changes. I'm sorry. Exhibit B is the sales comparison grid. There was very limited sales to January 1st, 2025. So I have 3 on there. They are 2023 sales. And like any appraiser, I time and adjusted them just like they do. I time adjusted them by 6%. That was the average overall. MLS showed it that the Kosciuszko increased in the market. The average, and I made adjustments for land, time adjustment for the sale date, the land, bedrooms, bathroom count, square footage, basement finish, heating and AC. I made adjustments for garage size, amenities, and outbuildings. The average came in at 357,508, and the median was 349,216. I took the CPI inflation calculator. I put in the amount, 305,000. His purchase price in May of 2022. The CPI inflation calculated it at $331,477.87. Exhibit D is the emails back and forth between me and Mr. Bonahum. And it was just explaining, you know, how I come up with the value, and he wanted, he was just informing me of the 180 days that I had to get this done. And the last one is Exhibit E. It's our land order, all neighborhoods. The first one is the actual Pike Lakefront sales, and it was an indicated value. The extraction method came in at 3,608 linear foot frontage. The vacant land indicator was not used because we didn't have enough of them. The suggested, the PTABOA voted on 2,300. The second page is just the neighborhoods that were all combined to do the trending. So we would have enough sales. The next page is just the trending corrections, showing you what the previous year's trending neighborhood factor was and what the new one is. It did go down, and it went down significantly because of the cost to build schedules went up so much. The next one is just the indicator. This is the actual trending, showing you why and how we came up with our value or with our trending factor and what was needed to be put in place to get the values where they needed to be. And that was page 4, or the last 2 pages was that. And again, my indicated value, my average, my median, and the CPI inflation, his values falls within that. And that is all I have for you.
Do you have any questions?
I have no questions.
So I'm assuming this is the first year, county, that the new land values were applied to the base rate.
Correct. Correct.
So that would account for substantial increase.
Correct.
Okay,
It hasn't been done for 4 years.
right. And then the increase in the cost tables.
Correct.
So those two, okay.
Yep.
Thank you. I have no other questions.
In your sales that you provided, what kind of a figure did you use for land adjustment? Or did you?
I adjusted for, I did not adjust for land specifically. The adjustments I made were for the assets. So on, I can go it up here. I adjusted for lake frontage, channel versus true lake frontage, and then above ground square footage. I did not specifically adjust for lot size or land size.
Well, that's what I meant when I said land was lake frontage, channel
Yes,
frontage.
frontage amount and whether it was channel or true lakefront.
And what front foot pricing did you give it per front foot?
My frontage is at 44 feet and I adjusted either up or down based on the other comps that sold. If they had more frontage, then that was adjusted to the 44 feet of frontage that the subject property has.
Okay. No further questions.
None from me.
I have none.
Do you have anything further?
No, I don't.
The proceedings are now concluded. The cause is adjourned until further order. The PTABOA may inspect the subject property and consider the evidence presented or requested. No additional evidence will be accepted for consideration unless that evidence has been requested during the hearing held today. As soon as we can, we will mail you a Form 115 to let you know the board's decision. If you disagree with that decision, you have the right to file a Form 131 with the state. This hearing is adjourned. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Drive carefully.
You guys are at lunch now.